So I woke up probably around maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, and I went to take the pregnancy test. I didn't want to let Jonas know that I was doing it because if it was negative, I didn't want to disappoint him.
Family for us was always very important, both of us growing up in larger families and always talking about how many kids we'd have and what their names could be.
So I took it, and within seconds it turned positive.
I'm waking up groggy and very excited, but very shell-shocked with the news while I'm still in my bed, still waking up.
At first I was kind of offended, like, you're not excited? But he finally got to the same level that I was, and we just celebrated the rest of the day. We lived in an 800 square foot apartment. We moved our bed around, and it was kind of like engineering, trying to decide where things will go. And we finally found a place in our bedroom where it was going to be our baby's corner.
We went into a doctor's appointment early October, a normal checkup. We had now seen pictures of our son, and we had our name picked out. We weren't telling it to people yet. We were being secretive. The ultrasound tech, who was normally very talkative, was a little bit quieter than she had typically been.
And she didn't say a word until she said, "You're gonna have to see the doctor."
And she said that our baby was not well.
Your son has something called fetal hydrops. And it's a significant amount of fluid surrounding his abdomen. And that means there's something wrong. And you'll need to see a specialist as soon as possible.
He had something called ascites, or fluid, around his abdomen.
Despite what the outcome was, I wanted to speak life.
Checking in to see our first doctor at the medical center in downtown Houston, immediately he told us that his heart rate was going up from the normal, what should be around 130 for his age, up to 280 beats per minute.
In my mind, it was like I had a healthy boy, and now all of a sudden he's not. And there's nothing that I could do. So it took us to a place where our hope had to be in Christ.
We were seen by a specialist. We were told that we were very lucky to see her. And so she specializes in specifically fetal cardiology. And she took the ultrasound machine and she was looking around, and everyone was talking again, and continued to kind of whisper and talk about things that I didn't understand. My wife heard some talk about a heart condition that she knew was fatal.
When they told us the diagnosis, they wheeled me out of the room into this small conference room where there was tissues sitting on the table. And they told me and Jonas and my mom, and my heart broke.
Could do nothing but just pray in that room. I prayed, thanking God for his goodness and thanking him that he was in control and that he knew what was happening and that he was bigger than it and that he had our best plans in mind. And so we clung to hope for our son. They made sure that we were aware of the condition of our son, that he wasn't expected to live, and we had to walk through each step of labor, medication, yes or no, autopsy after delivery, yes or no, what they would do if he went into cardiac arrest, and we had to be okay with letting him pass if he did go into cardiac arrest. And that was the hardest hour of our life in that room, and we walked out with a piece of paper that was essentially the plan for our son passing. And so from that point we prepared for a funeral, and I, as the husband, had to take that on me to make sure that I had those things in place for my wife and for our family.
Every morning I woke up to see our baby's corner and realizing that we wouldn't have a baby in our corner.
I gathered together with some guys, and they offered to help me move all of our baby gifts and our crib and everything out of our apartment.
It was late in October, and we went to yet another doctor's appointment. and the amount of fluid that he accumulated, they were surprised that he was still alive. And they said, this weekend he'll most likely pass, so prepare yourself to deliver next week.
So we went back home and continued to pray.
And so it was my Hail Mary prayer, like, Lord, save my son. I want you to save my son. The following Monday, we go in, and they wanted just to see if he had a heartbeat.
With disappointment, we were just waiting, and we were a little bit irritated that it was taking as long as it was with the new ultrasound tech, and she kept looking around and kept taking more measurements, and she looked a little bit confused. And so we sat there, and she said she's going to talk to the doctor and she'd be back in a minute. So the doctor came back in.
And she kept on asking me, okay, what's your name? What's the date of birth? Are you sure? And I just thought she had no idea what she was doing.
His words were divine intervention.
And so I was kind of confused. We stopped looking at the ultrasound pictures because I was always like, oh, he's getting better. And the doctor would always say, no, he's getting a lot worse.
Her only job was to check for a heart rate, and the fluid around David's head, heart, and lungs had completely gone away. The shape of his heart, which was elongated from the condition, had literally changed shape into a normal heart.
Your son is a completely different baby. The fluid that was around his head, his heart, and his lungs are completely gone.
Teams of doctors met afterwards, and we were the talk of the debriefing about the cases in the medical center at that point.
And Jonah said, God, you are good. You are good.